think Brand New Day just proved something Marvel fans have been arguing about for years. Superhero fatigue might have been completely misunderstood. For years, people kept saying audiences were getting tired of superheroes. Too many Marvel movies, too many shows, too many characters, too many multiverse stories. Eventually, people would just stop caring. And honestly, after Endgame, it really started looking that way. But then Spider-Man came back, and suddenly everybody remembered why they loved superhero movies in the first place. And here's the interesting part. I don't think people were ever actually tired of superheroes. They were tired of feeling disconnected from them. Think about the MCU after Endgame. When was the last time you watched a Marvel project and genuinely felt like, oh shit, this character is part of a much bigger universe? There were exceptions, obviously. Shang-Chi had its connections, No Way Home became a massive event, Thunderbolts brought characters together, but for a long time, most Marvel projects felt like separate islands. You could watch one, skip 5 others, and barely feel like you missed anything. And that's a huge problem for a cinematic universe. The whole appeal of Marvel was that you could watch Iron Man, then Captain America, then Thor, and eventually these characters would collide in the Avengers. You became emotionally invested in individual characters, and when they finally appeared together, it meant something. Tony Stark showing up in Homecoming wasn't just a cameo. It felt like Peter Parker was actually living inside the same world as Iron Man. That's what Brand New Day is bringing back. If you watch Thunderbolts, you already care about Yelena. So when she appears, you're not thinking, who the hell is this? You're thinking, oh shit, it's Yelena. If you've watched Daredevil or The Punisher, seeing Frank Castle means something to you. That's how you build an interconnected universe. You make people care about a character somewhere else, then bring that character into another story. And Spider-Man has an even bigger advantage: decades of emotional history. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the animated movies, the games, the comics. People didn't just watch Spider-Man, they grew up with him. That's why comparing Brand New Day directly with something like Fantastic Four or Thunderbolts isn't completely fair. Those movies had to build that emotional connection. Spider-Man already had it. And then there's the timing. It's been years since No Way Home, and people have been waiting to see where Peter goes after everything that happened to him. But instead of simply throwing another 100 multiverse characters at us, Brand New Day actually focuses on Peter Parker, his loneliness, his identity, his relationships, his struggle to move forward. And that's what actual Spider-Man fans connect with. Because let's be honest, you can give us Hulk, Punisher, massive action sequences, and all the crazy spectacle you want. But if Peter Parker doesn't feel like Peter Parker, none of that matters. And that's why I think this movie is so important for Marvel. It doesn't prove that superhero fatigue is real. It proves that superhero fatigue was probably never the whole problem. Audiences weren't necessarily saying, we don't want superhero movies anymore. They were saying, give us a superhero movie worth getting excited about. And that's a massive difference. People still want the big screen experience. They still want to cheer. They still want characters they've grown up with. They still want that feeling of seeing something they've been waiting years for. Spider-Man just happens to be one of the few characters powerful enough to bring all of that back almost instantly. And now look at Doomsday. You've got the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Thor, Steve Rogers, the Thunderbolts, Shang-Chi, Sam Wilson, and all these characters finally coming together. But Marvel has to understand one thing. Putting characters in the same movie doesn't automatically make it an event. Making audiences care about those characters does. That's what the MCU had during the Infinity Saga. Not just superheroes, but a universe. Every movie felt like another piece of the same giant story. And honestly, that's what people have been missing. Not superheroes, the connection. So if Brand New Day really continues doing what it's doing, then maybe it has already proved the biggest misconception of the post-Endgame era: superhero cinema isn't dead, and audiences aren't automatically tired of superheroes. They just became harder to impress, and if Marvel can actually understand that, Doomsday could be one hell of a comeback. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you think Spider-Man just killed the superhero fatigue argument?